Hello, welcome to the next video. This one I think is going to be fairly short. It's the start of a new topic and it's something you might be familiar with already, but because it's the start of something, it's quite basic and hopefully is easy enough to follow along with. And that's the idea of perimeter. Now we need to know what this means. So if we don't already, perimeter, that is the total length of the outside of a shape. So basically, we just add all the sides up and that gives us the perimeter. So if we started off really easy with this square, and ignore that little bit there, the perimeter would be, say, starting here, how far around it is to go all the way around the square back to where we started. If we had a triangle, the perimeter is how far around it would be to go all the way around the triangle back to where we started. And so to do that, all you have to do is add up each side to get the perimeter. So let's look at some examples with numbers on them. Say we've got a rectangle here. This is 7, this is 7, this is 5, and this is 5. Then the perimeter, I'm just going to write a capital P, so I don't need to write it out every time. The perimeter will be 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5. Nice and easy. So 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 7 is 19, plus 5 is 24. And you'll notice there I haven't put any units down for my answer because there were none in the question. But normally your question will have units. Okay? But we won't always get one where every single side is labelled. Let's say, for example, we had the same setup, same rectangle, and I'm going to tell you now that this side is 10 and this side is 4. Well, we can fill some in, can't we? Because if this side is 10 and it's a rectangle, this side has to be 10 as well. And if this side is 4 and it's a rectangle, this side has to be 4 as well. So then our perimeter, well, it's going to be 10 plus 4 plus 10 plus 4, which equals 14, 24, 28. And there we go. So perimeter is nice and simple. We just add up all the edges together. So I'm just going to pause for a second and draw a couple of shapes, and we'll do that, and then we'll look at what the next stage is of perimeter as well. So, got a couple of shapes drawn down here, and you'll notice again, I haven't put units on, just to keep it simple. So for this one, let's work out our perimeter. Now, we've got 5 sides to this shape, so our perimeter is just all of them added up. It's 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2. If you want to, you can go round and sort of cross them off as you go, so you make sure you don't forget any or do any twice. So it was 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2. Add those all together, and that's going to give us 3, 5, 7. Now, if we look at this one, we'll see that not every side is labelled. And so we need to use some of the knowledge we have for triangles here. So what does this little line mean? Well, remember, that little line means the sides are the same size. So that means this side is also 6. And now I can add them up, because I've got my 4 added onto my 6, added onto my 6, which if I add those all together gives me 16. And we're going to use similar here for this one. Only one of these sides is labelled, but these little marks that mean all the sides are the same size, Well, if it's a four-sided shape and all sides are the same size, that's a square. And so that means if that's 8, then every other side must be 8 as well. And can you see here then, that means I've got 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, which equals 32. But I could do that another way as well, couldn't I? The sides are 8 long, and I've got 4 of them, so I could do 8 times 4 instead. And that would give me 32. You see how both of these are the same? It's two different ways of doing the same thing. So, that's how we work out perimeter. It's nice and simple, but we might get ones where we already know the perimeter, and instead of working that out, they want us to work out a missing side instead. So let's look at what we do there. So, let's say, for example, I've got a shape that looks like this. I've got a triangle here, and they're telling me straight away the perimeter of this is 30 meters. And so, if this is 15 meters, and this is 5 meters, these numbers do not make sense, but the point still stands. We want to find out what this missing side is. And so, it's quite a simple problem, because we know these 3 sides have to add up to make 30. So what number is missing there? So I can do this in my head. I can say, well, 5 and 15 is 20, so there's 10 missing. Or we can do and say, well, that missing side, that's going to be the 30, which is the total perimeter. Take away 5, take away 15, which equals 10 meters. Now, you might have noticed these numbers don't quite make sense, because this side should be longer than that one, but I've just made up numbers here. The point still stands for how you work out perimeter. And so let's look at another one with a missing side. Let's say the perimeter of this is 48 centimeters. And all you're told is that it is a square. And they want to know how long one of the sides of it is. Well, if this is a square, all 4 of these sides have to be the same, don't they? And so that means each of these sides has to be the same, and they all have to add up to 48. So, how could we do this? Well, remember back to the one we did here. Well, for the square, we did one side and we times it by 4 to get the perimeter. Well, we can do the opposite here, because, well, if I know all the squares added together give 48, to work out one side of it, I can do 48, and I can divide that by 4, and that tells me then that each side of this has to be 12 centimeters. Because if I have 4 12s, they add up to 48. And so that's all we need to know at the moment for perimeter. Hopefully that was all understandable. And if you've got any questions, you know how to get in touch. Thanks for watching.